Good evening, and welcome to Third Church, New York City. Let us begin by singing hymn 56. Father, thou joy of loving hearts, thou fount of life, thou light of men, from all the best that earth imparts, we turn unfilled to thee again. Hymn 56. I shall read from the Bible and correlative passages from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health, with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy, the discoverer and founder of Christian Science. The topic of this week's readings is all in all. The Bible. John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Genesis, and God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Deuteronomy, the Lord, he is God. There is none else beside him. Isaiah, thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first, and I am the last, and beside me there is no God. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. For thus saith the Lord that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God else beside me, a just God and a Savior. there is none beside me. Look unto me, and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth. For I am God, and there is none else. Psalms. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. 1 John. This then is the message which we have heard of him and declare unto you, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Matthew. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Acts. Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, Ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, To the unknown God, whom therefore ye ignorantly worship. Him declare I unto you, God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. Revelation. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I saw no temple therein, For the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it. For the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb was the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie. I shall now read throughout the passages from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. The city of our God has no need of sun or satellite, for love is the light of it, and divine mind is its own interpreter. All who are saved must walk in this light. Mighty potentates and dynasties will lay down their honors within the heavenly city. Its gates open towards light and glory, both within and without. For all is good, and nothing can enter that city which defileth or maketh a lie. The starting point of divine science is that God, Spirit, is all in all, and that there is no other might nor mind, that God is love, and therefore he is divine principle. The maximum of good is the infinite God and his idea, the all in all. When apparently near the confines of mortal existence, standing already within the shadow of the death valley, I learned these truths in divine science, that all real being is in God, the divine mind, and that life, truth, and love are all powerful and ever present, that the opposite of truth, called error, sin, sickness, disease, death, is the false testimony of false material sense, of mind in matter, that this false sense evolves in belief a subjective state of mortal mind, which this same so-called mind names matter, thereby shutting out the true sense of spirit. My discovery that erring, mortal, misnamed mind produces all the organism and action of the mortal body set my thoughts to work in new channels and led up to my demonstration of the proposition that mind is all and matter is naught, as the leading factor in mind science. Christian Science reveals incontrovertibly that mind is all in all, that the only realities are the divine mind and idea. This great fact is not, however, seen to be supported by sensible evidence until its divine principle is demonstrated by healing the sick and thus proved absolute and divine. This proof once seen, no other conclusion can be reached. The fundamental propositions of divine metaphysics are summarized in the four following, to me, self-evident propositions. Even if reversed, these propositions will be found to agree in statement and proof, showing mathematically their exact relation to truth. De Quincey says mathematics has not a foot to stand upon which is not purely metaphysical. 1. God is all in all. If God, the all in all, be the creator of the spiritual universe, including man, then everything entitled to a classification as truth or science must be comprised in a knowledge or understanding of God. For there can be nothing beyond illimitable divinity. The scriptures imply that God is all in all. From this it follows that nothing possesses reality nor existence except the divine mind and his ideas. The scriptures also declare that God is spirit. Therefore, in spirit, all is harmony, and there can be no discord. All is life, and there is no death. Everything in God's universe expresses him. Paul saw in Athens an altar dedicated to the unknown God. Referring to it, he said to the Athenians, "Whom therefore ye ignorantly worship, him declare I unto you." Paganism and agnosticism may define deity as the great unknowable, but Christian Science brings God much nearer to man and makes him better known as the all in all, forever near. Mortals must emerge from this notion of material life as all in all. They must peck open their shells with Christian Science and look outward and upward. Our system of mind healing rests on the apprehension of the nature and essence of all being, on the divine mind and love's essential qualities. Its pharmacy is moral, and its medicine is intellectual and spiritual, though used for physical healing. Yet this most fundamental part of metaphysics is the one most difficult to understand and demonstrate, for to the material thought, all is material, till such thought is rectified by spirit. God being all in all, he made medicine, but that medicine was mind. It could not have been matter, which departs from the nature and character of mind, God. Truth is God's remedy for error of every kind, and truth destroys only what is untrue. Hence the fact that today, as yesterday, Christ casts out evils and heals the sick. Mortal man will be less mortal when he learns that matter never sustained existence and can never destroy God, who is man's life. When this is understood, mankind will be more spiritual and know that there is nothing to consume, since Spirit God is all in all. What if the belief is consumption? God is more to a man than his belief, and the less we acknowledge matter or its laws, the more immortality we possess. A woman whom I cured of consumption always breathed with great difficulty when the wind was from the east. I sat silently by her side a few moments. Her breath came gently. The inspirations were deep and natural. I then requested her to look at the weather vane. She looked and saw that it pointed due east. The wind had not changed, but her thought of it had, and so her difficulty in breathing had gone. The wind had not produced the difficulty. My metaphysical treatment changed the action of her belief on the lungs, and she never suffered again from east winds, but was restored to health. Consciousness constructs a better body when faith in matter has been conquered. Correct material belief by spiritual understanding, and spirit will form you anew. You will never fear again except to offend God, and you will never believe that heart or any portion of the body can destroy you. Divine science, the Word of God, saith to the darkness upon the face of error, God is all in all, and the light of ever-present love illumines the universe. Hence the eternal wonder that infinite space is peopled with God's ideas reflecting him in countless spiritual forms. God is mind, and God is infinite. Hence, all is mind. On this statement rests the science of being, and the principle of this science is divine, demonstrating harmony and immortality. All is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation, for God is all in all. Let us have a few moments of silent prayer to be followed by the audible repetition of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Let us sing hymn 267. Our God is all in all. His children cannot fear. See baseless evil fall, and know that God is here. Hymn 267. This church is a branch of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, Massachusetts. We hold Sunday services at 11 a.m. and Wednesday testimony meetings at 7:30 p.m. We also have services in Spanish Sundays at 1 p.m. and Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. All services are held online and in person. All are welcome. Third Church offers Sunday school classes online and in person for children and teens. These free one-hour classes are available each Sunday. At Sunday school, students learn how much God loves them and cares for them. They also learn about the Bible characters and lessons and the healing power of prayer, truth. For more information on times and classes, please send us an email, thirdchurch@thirdchurchnyc.com. Third Church maintains a reading room on the lower level of this building. The reading room provides a quiet place for prayer and study, and all are welcome. Here you may purchase books and recordings on Christian Science. The reading room has the latest issues of the Christian Science Monitor, an award-winning international news weekly, available to read or purchase. Reading room hours are Monday through Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. Replays in English and Spanish are available of this church's August 26th talk by Lyle Young, CSB, titled Christian Science, a High Standard of Care, on our website, thirdchurchnyc.com. This meeting is now open for all to share experiences of healing and spiritual insights that prove God's ever-presence and power in their lives. If you are listening by telephone and would like to speak, press *6 and wait until your line is unmuted. Please speak directly into the microphone of your phone. Your message will be easier to hear if you do not use the speaker function. If you are watching via Zoom, you can choose the raise your hand icon or unmute yourself and speak.
First, let me thank you for the very beautiful readings. They reached right out to the heart, and I'm so grateful to have been here today to hear them. Thank you. But next, I'd like to testify to something that I haven't mentioned in a lot of years that's very important to me, that happened when I had been introduced to Christian Science. I was a new mother. I was in Nuremberg, Germany, because my husband was in the American Army, serving in Nuremberg, and I was studying singing at the conservatory. And whereas I'd asked for a professor who would be male and would be native-born German, I was given a professor who was a bright and cheery American female. At the time, I didn't see that it was what I had wanted, and it didn't really please me. But eventually, it got to please me more than anything that had ever happened in my life, before or since. I brought my little daughter. She was just a tiny baby. I brought her with me to my singing lesson. And as we were approaching the room, I could hear my teacher laughing and carrying on and having just a wonderful time. And I came in with the baby and asked her, "What on earth are you laughing about? What makes you so happy all the time?" And for those who are Christian Scientists who are very fond of a particular volume called Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, you will understand very, very well what the significance of this following, this next step was. She threw a volume at me, and I looked at the volume, and I opened the volume, and whatever page I opened to it was something most precious, because it was Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. And I had been introduced to Christian Science. I didn't know anything about it. Well, this little baby who was with me came for her 3-month-old consultation with the doctor in the US Army, because that's the way my husband and I believed. We had a little baby and we took her to the doctor. And what I found out was that she had a hip dysplasia, a very, very serious condition that would take a very long time to heal. And the doctor said she's got to go into a cast. She's got to go into a cast immediately, and it's going to have to be for 21 to 24 months, not days, not weeks, months. Well, if you've been around a little baby, you know that they don't stay still in one spot, and for them to be held into a cast would be a very, very difficult thing, extraordinarily difficult. Well, we did it, but at the end of 3 months, I took her in, as my husband at the time said, you've got to take her in every 3 months and see what's going on, because this is of great significance. Well, I didn't see the reason, because she was only going to be from 21 to 24 months. Well, we took her in, and at the end of 3 months, the doctor said, I've never seen anything like this before. I said, what are you talking about? What do you mean you've never seen what? The dysplasia is completely gone. She's healed in 3 months. And during those 3 months, I had been reading Science and Health, and I had gone a couple of times to a German practitioner from whom I could tell you 3 words that she said over and over and over. Gott ist Liebe. Gott ist Liebe. Gott ist Liebe. Well, I found out that that meant God is love. And so this little baby of mine was healed in 3 months of a hip dysplasia that the physicians had predicted would take 21 to 24 months. To me, that is an outstanding, an incredible healing. Now, myself, I'm having difficulty with the healing these days. I've had very quick healings and had very slow ones. But this experience with my little daughter was to me an incredible one. She was healed and had nothing, no lingering side effects, nothing wrong. She simply was healed and did not have a dysplasia anymore. I thank God for Christian Science and Mary Baker Eddy, for her reliance, for her persistence in working day after day, week after week, month after month, until about 3 years to get this book written. To me, it's all amazing, and I'm just filled with gratitude throughout my life for Christian Science. Thank you for Third Church as well, and for the wonderful reader for his readings. Thank God that Gott ist Liebe. Thank God that God is love. Thank you.
The previous testimony reminds me of how I came into Christian Science. I knew almost nothing about it other than people didn't go to doctors. That's about as much as I knew about it, and that was the extent of my interest in it. I had, as an adult, been in the context of psychology, and I was a happy Episcopalian, in large part because of the music, which still attracts me greatly. I was in Dallas getting an MFA, and I had friends there that were finishing up from undergraduate school, finishing up their MFAs, but I had to find a place on my own to live, and I didn't have a car, which at the time, well, in a city like Dallas, if you don't have a car, you're kind of at a disadvantage. So somehow I got a job as the house director of a fraternity. And I wasn't all that happy with that, but it was free room and board. And all I had to do was go to the grocery store once a week to get what the cook wanted to prepare for that following week. And down the street from this fraternity was a laundromat where I, every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, did my laundry. And on there was a little waiting room. It was a large laundromat, and a fairly large university. And there was a Christian Science Sentinel and maybe a journal, I don't know. And so just because I was waiting for my laundry to wash or to dry, I picked it up. And I don't even remember what the article was or what it said, but it just had the ring of truth to me. And so at the back, I think, Third Church of Dallas said if you sent them your address, they'd send you literature. So I thought, well, why not? So every 2 or 3 weeks, a little package of literature, including the Monitor, would come, and I would, dip in and read it. I didn't do anything resembling studying of it, but I dipped in and read it, and it still had the ring of truth. But I had no real interest or desire to become a Christian Scientist because I really liked the Episcopal Church. And I was in Dallas for 2 years. And I was getting more and more interested in it. I hadn't purchased a Science and Health. I probably had a Bible in my bookcase, but I was not an avid reader of the Bible. And I'd grown up in Sunday schools and that kind of thing. And at the end of the 2 years, I was more and more interested in it. And in our department, the artistic director of the department was a Christian Scientist, and several students were Christian Scientists, one of whom was my best friend, and I'm still in contact with him now. And at the end of that 2 years, I had an instantaneous healing, and I can't even really say it was because I knew all that much, never having read Science and Health. Don't even know if I planned. I wasn't even that hungry to buy Science and Health. I was just satisfied with what I was reading in the Sentinel and Journal. And I had hay fever for 10 years or something like that. And so I went to the pharmacy or the drugstore and bought Contac or whatever it is you buy. You take one of these tablets every 4 hours, I think, or something, and it stops the stuffiness and the sneezing. And as I got home and was about to open the bag with that, I thought, well, wait a minute. I've been reading about healing, and this can be healed. Why am I going to now take a tablet? And then I realized when I had developed the hay fever, I must have been 10 or 12, and my sister and I were with my parents at the house of one of their friends, And the woman had horrible hay fever, and sometimes had to go into her bedroom and close all the blinds and be waited on hand and foot or whatever. And something kind of struck me, thinking, well, that's kind of nice, to be pampered like that and to get away from everybody and close your draperies and all that kind of thing. And when I was praying in the only way I knew how at that particular moment, I thought, well, I don't need to have that kind of experience. I don't need to. Hay fever can't be the avenue towards love or care or protection or whatever. And instantaneously, it left me. Never came back. And so even a little bit of Christian Science can heal. And I was about to leave that school. I had finished it, and I went back to my hometown where I was going to work for 3 months and then go to Syracuse where I was going to work for a year. And I went to a reading room and I said, I think I need to see a Christian Science practitioner. And the man said, well, here's the journal. Just whoever comes to you, call that person. And so someone came to me and I called her, and she was a practitioner for me off and on, maybe more on than off, for the next 20 or 30 years. So it's interesting how the Christ leads us to Christian Science. Thank you for your readings.
When I was in high school taking civics classes, we talked about how the two parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, had people in the parties with both conservative and liberal views, and that the distinction between the parties sometimes was not that well defined. Now, at this time, primarily each party has very homogeneous views, whether they're conservative or liberal on issues, and they don't work very well together because of the animosity. And it came to me that there's a rule in the manual of the Mother Church that's maybe applicable. I saw the relevance to it. It says neither animosity nor mere personal attachment should impel the motives or acts of the members of the Mother Church. In science, divine love alone governs man. It goes on, but I'll stop there. It seemed to me that to regard the other party with animosity, or to feel personally attached to one party, is not the best way to participate in good government. The rule says that in science, divine love alone governs man, and that in our sense of government should be found in divine principle love rather than in seeking to participate in a contest of animosity and personal attachment. I like that rule very much. It goes on to say, and man reflects the sweet amenities of love in rebuking sin and true brotherliness, charitableness, and forgiveness. And one member of this church that you're broadcasting from said that, well, that really tells us how to rebuke sin. Rebuke sin in true brotherliness, charitableness, and forgiveness. So if we see a fault, if we see someone missing the mark to our sense of what the right policy or goal should be, we can rely on brotherly kindness to regard the person holding the different view as a member of our divine family, and be forgiving in our approach, and that's rebuking sin, charitableness and forgiveness. So with charity, which is loving. So in all that we do, if we see something that ought to be changed, or to our view, it should be done with respect and kindness and meekness. And the faith is not, where does power come from? Is it in numbers, or is it in the validity of the argument, the truth of the principle, and to rely on the highest sense of good and try to explain why the policy or the procedure is the most good for the most people. I think we can find in religion guidance in our sense of a higher sense of government, and I'm very grateful for this new understanding of that rule for motives and acts.
Thank you all very much for your testimonies, remarks, and prayers during the service. Let us close by singing hymn 208. The words of this hymn are by our beloved leader, Mary Baker Eddy. O gentle presence, peace and joy and power, O life divine that owns each waiting hour, thou love that guards the nestling's faltering flight, keep thou my child on upward wing tonight. Love is our refuge. Only with mine eye can I behold the snare, the pit, the fall. His habitation high is here and nigh. His arm encircles me and mine and all. Oh, make me glad for every scalding tear, for hope deferred, ingratitude, disdain. Wait and love more for every hate, and fear no ill, since God is good and loss is gain. Beneath the shadow of his mighty wing, in that sweet secret of the narrow way, seeking and finding, with the angels sing, lo, I am with you alway, watch and pray. No snare, no fowler, pestilence or pain, no night drops down upon the troubled breast. When heaven's after smile earth's teardrops gain, and mother finds her home and heavenly rest. Hymn 208.